What is up, guys? It's your boy Rick Kakis, and today, with the new Tuesday reset happening within Destiny 2 The Final Shape, we now have access to the Grandmaster difficulty Excision Activity. Now, the original Excision Activity launched right after the very first team beat the Salvation's Edge raid. It's a 12-man activity where you go in and you just kill a bunch of enemies and eventually, finally, defeat the Witness. But Grandmaster difficulty ups the ante quite a bit, but it offers a very juicy reward. As you can see right here, the main carrot essentially being dangled for players to do this increased difficulty is that you will get the Ergo Sum Catalyst. The Ergo Sum being an exotic special ammo sword, and it's frankly a fantastic weapon. It can actually have wolfpack rounds and buff your sword damage through the roof for the rest of your team, so definitely getting the Catalyst is going to be a valuable thing. Now, if you're wondering what the heck the Catalyst actually does, I'm going to show you right now just so you know what you're grinding for. As you can see right here, it's going to add the perk Transcendent Steel, where dealing damage with a Transcendent Grenade will grant ammo to your Ergo Sum, which is definitely pretty interesting. Being able to top up on ammo could be actually quite good. Now, let's move on from there and talk about a bunch of tips and recommendations to help you guys beat the Grandmaster difficulty Excision Activity and get your Ergo Sum Catalysts. Now, first things first, you want to check in on the modifiers. There are going to be surges active. This week, it was Arc Surge and Void Surge, as well as some overcharged weapons. This week, it was glaives, oh my goodness, and machine guns. So make sure to cater your loadout depending on those modifiers, right? We all know sniper rifles are great against the Witness. Make sure you have one that matches the current surge. Now, another big loadout consideration is that you are going to be facing all three types of champions, and you're going to be facing a lot of them. So preferably every single person in your 12-man group can deal with at least one type of champion, and preferably 2 or 3. But really importantly, it's not locked loadouts in this activity, even Grandmaster, so you can switch around your weapons depending on what enemies you're facing. If you find that your group is having trouble dealing with, for example, barrier champions, have a few people switch off their hand cannons to their pulse rifles, for example, to deal with that. Because depending on where you are in this activity, different types of champions are going to spawn, so really don't be afraid to switch up your loadouts. Now, another huge thing to be aware of is that there's limited revives in this activity, and with a 12-person group, they go by quickly. Like, one Tormentor Slam can kill 3 or 4 people, and then you're gonna watch those revives just dwindle after that. But killing champions and some of the important mini-bosses like the boss Tormentors will give you revives back. So another massive tip here, guys, even though there might be a champion off in the distance that you can actually ignore, it may be worth your while to kill that champion if you can, because you're going to get an extra revive token and they will actually matter. But one more important thing in terms of your loadout, the activity power is 2020. So there is fire team power, so whoever is the highest, it'll bring everyone else up to that point, but you do want to have someone who is relatively high in terms of power level. Like, the higher you can get, the easier it is going to be. But moving on from there to the activity specific recommendations, when you start out, you can see there's a ton of enemies, a ton of mini bosses, champions everywhere. I would highly recommend the opening objective is to secure like different plates. All 12 people go to the same plate. It's just so much easier to kill these extremely high level champions and so on, especially if they start to heal. Like, it's going to be impossible to outshoot something through healing, even with like 6 people with the how high of a light level they are. So having all 12 people there is really going to help you just nuke everything and get an objective done, and then you all migrate to another area, get that done, and then you migrate again. And that is absolutely the key to getting through this first part, is just migrating together, going to objectives together as a full 12-man group. There is no timer in this activity. The only limitation is your revives. So the safer you can be, the more you can stick together. Like, you can take extra time to actually secure the ability to get this done easier. But moving on from there, we get to the second part of this activity, which is preparing to and DPSing the witness. And I have a ton of really helpful tips for this part. So first of all, when you see Saint 14's bubble here, you want to be dipping in and out as much as possible to get that Weapons of Light damage buff. It doesn't matter so much in normal, but in Grandmaster, it really did make a difference. Another thing is heavy ammo crates are going to be spawning all the time. Make sure to call them out so everyone can get in on that. And because you're going to be having so much heavy, your heavy is going to make a big difference here. You want it to be as high of a DPS heavy as you can possibly have, but not just DPS heavies. You can see I actually switched to a Galahorn, and the main purpose is that so I can shoot stuff from afar, but also I can deal with the ads. It's not just the tormentors that are the objectives and the champions. A lot of the time people are getting laser focused on those, and then they would get killed by the Vandal snipers. So someone with a Galahorn, just absolutely eviscerating all the ads in the back can be very, very helpful as well. Now, another thing you're really going to need to pay attention to is going to be the witness arms. Like all around the arena, you can see in the background gameplay, there's going to be those triangles and those circles spawning, and you're scoping into your sight trying to deal with a tormentor, you don't notice you're in a triangle, and suddenly you're dead, and those precious limited revives are going down. Well, remember, you can shoot those witness arms in the bracelet just with normal weapons and destroy them. Again, this is something that people often ignore in the normal difficulty because you really don't care, but in Grandmaster, you absolutely want to be nuking those arms as quickly as possible so that you don't get killed. Now, on top of all of that, honestly, one of the most important things to know about here, guys, is that it will actually automatically revive your teammates even if you have 0 revives before each damage phase and before final stand. So you do not need to go out and kill a bunch of champions to get every single fireteam member alive before you start damage. Just start damage and those people will pop up, again, even if you have no revives. Super important to know. And another huge tip here, guys, is that if your team is getting clapped by the witnesses' attacks, right? That everyone move right, now everyone move left, hand attacks during damage, remember, you can jump off the DPS plate. As you can see right here, as soon as you see the witness gearing up to attack, you can just leave. You will take 0 damage. You'll be in complete safety. You're going to go get Weapons of Light again, and then as soon as the attacks are over, you jump back on and DPS. Yes, it's going to take a little bit longer, but oh my goodness, it will save you a ton of potential deaths. So if you're having trouble dodging those, if people keep dying, tell those people to just get off the DPS plate while those attacks are going on, and then hop back on when it's done. Now, another really important thing to know about is that it kind of doesn't matter how much damage you're doing in the first and second DPS phase, because the third DPS phase is infinite. Like, it will not end, it will just let you get the witness all the way down to final stand. Now, while this is going on, if you are losing people, right, even though it will revive everyone for final stand, you might be going, oh my goodness, we only have, 6 people left, everyone else is dead, and we have no revives. Well, there's actually constantly spawning barrier champions off to the sides, as you can see here. So you can stop damaging the witness. Again, it's an infinite damage phase. You have no time limit. You can just hop off the plate. Everyone alive goes, nukes down one champion on one side, nukes down the other one that has just respawned. Again, they will constantly respawn, and that will allow you to slowly but surely revive a teammate after every single champion you do kill. And they're really going to be like the only other ads alive aside from the witness, so it's easy to focus fire those guys down and bring your entire team back up for that third phase so that you can get to final stand. Now, a couple more general tips for like this entire boss fight encounter here is that, first of all, there's not going to be infinite super regeneration like there is in the normal difficulty. So your weapons are going to matter so much more than your super in terms of how you're actually able to kill guys, right? And then on top of that, you're going to be running around collecting those light things coming out of the ground, depositing them, all of that. It helps a lot if you can have the people doing that be the invis hunters, right? That's just going to keep everyone else out of danger. And so, guys, That's going to be it for the video. Hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.